also putting it on YouTube so that we can go back and watch it. And then anyone who's not here couldn't make it tonight can also go and see it. So,
Definitely.
Casey.
Great. Thank you, Dawn.
You're
Thank you, everybody. First of all, I want to say I am getting over the million bugs that are going on out there. My kids were sick. I was sick. So excuse the voice. I will try to do my best. And I've got water to try to keep drinking. And I might have a cough in between as well. So heads up on that is why I'll talk as loud as I can. Well, they obviously invited me to do a full nutrition. I do want to keep this about a half hour. I know our attention spans are relatively short. So I want to get short, sweet, to the point. And of course, if you guys have questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask and we will roll. Because of course, nutrition is a multiple facets that I could dive into this conversation. And this the best point, what's obviously is what you eat determines really how you feel, perform, and obviously if your goal is weight loss or fat loss or anything in that regards. Oh, I was hoping this was going to work. I might have to come closer. And maybe there it goes. I have to scurry over there. So who am I? My name is Casey Curo. No, I'm not from Bernard. I'm not anywhere from here. I'm married into the Curo family, and we actually live in Dubuque. We don't even live in Bernard at all. And I am the owner and founder of Simply Strong Coaching. I started this job about 4.5 years ago. My previous position, I was actually a college soccer coach for multiple years, and then I actually got into management in the YMCAs. And my passion has always been coaching somehow in some facet. I really love seeing people progress, and fitness has always been my background. I got an exercise science degree in college, and actually I got my personal training certificate, I took the test right out of college and failed. I took that as, well, I guess I'm not a trainer. So I didn't train. I completely changed my plan of attack and went into coaching soccer instead of personal training at that time. So I always thought that was the most random, that apparently that was my sign. So fast forward, obviously, as things progressed, I realized I wanted to do things on my own, wanted to do things my own way. And so I started my own company. I started this 100% virtually. COVID, yes, played a little bit of a role, but it actually wasn't. It was just something I had interest in doing. And this is kind of when this all started. So I started off as 100% virtual and realized that I hated being alone. I was always around teams. I was always around people. And I was like, I'm in my house. This isn't very fun all by myself. So I started recruiting starting to get some in-person training actually at my house, and started to do personal training out of my house and obviously online as well. Fast forward today, half my business is in person. I actually travel to people's homes as well. And then I also have some people come to my house, and then the other half of my business is a lot of virtual coaching. Also, the foundation of my business started off as just training, strength training only. That's really was what I drove home. I dove into some nutrition, not tons right off the bat, until I finally, about 3 years ago, I got a nutrition certificate. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't want it. When I went into this program, it's called NCI. It's called National, actually now I forget, the National Constitute. I forget the title now. That I'm blanking out. Anyway, I was there for business coaching. That's where I started. I said, I just want to learn how to grow this business. And they're like, well, you have to get your nutrition certificate with it. That is just part of the package. And I was like, okay, I guess there's nothing going back. Dove into it and I got hooked. I'm not kidding. This was like the turning point when it came to nutrition and matching it. I was like, this was literally the puzzle piece I was missing. I was the athlete. I also played college soccer. I've always been active my entire life. I always thought you could out-exercise a bad diet. That was always my foundation. So I always moved. I always thought that was the way to do it. I was trying to tell people, you just eat healthy. Eat a balanced meal. Eat your protein, carbs, and fats. Those were the general things. I was really pushing high protein before it's become like now the talk of the town now. But then when I really got into the nutrition certificate and coaching aspect of it, I'm telling you, everything flipped. It flipped for me. I understand myself, my body 10 times more so. It obviously has launched my clients 10 times more. nutrition, I am telling you, is the foundation. It's become the next stepping stone and more passion of where I'm at today. Man, my voice is really like cracky. I'm not that nervous. I'm just cracking. So, quick, brief overview of where I'm at now. We're here today. Let me come over here. Okay, question. Who has ever crushed a workout and felt wiped out for the rest of the day, whether it was kind of low energy, you kind of felt like crap, or at any point in your life? Raise your hand. Great. I have been there as well. I was an ex-athlete. I love to crush. I love to push hard. I love to do things. And this is a big red flag, heads up. And I'm going to talk about why this is really important. Maybe. Are you going to click it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Perfect. I was like, great. This becomes a really important aspect. Now, a lot of coaches out there will talk to you, can you lose fat and build strength at the same time? The question gets a little gray, I'll be honest. And the really answer is, if you are a novice individual into the health and fitness world, the answer is yes. Here comes the exception. If you are somebody that has been doing something, whether it's some form of exercise, some form of diet, this becomes much more important by determining a goal. I used to always believe absolutely you can. Like I said, depends on the individual and where their current starting point is at. So in an ideal world, we really do have to kind of pick one goal. Is it going to be more strength and performance? And now the reason why I like to bring this part up is not that anybody necessarily is going onto a stage or performing college athletics or anything in that regards at this time, unless anybody in here is. Maybe there is. Oh, just kidding. It could also be, oh, thank you. My throat doesn't hurt. It's just really hard to talk.
Those just help with all of that, I think.
Perfect. I'll eat one. Well, if you're not going on the stage, it could be maybe you're going on a hike somewhere. It was really funny. I was looking at that photo of the lady tonight, and I was like, oh, she looks like an Amazon delivery lady. Maybe you just want to run a 5K, right? Maybe that's one of your goals and aspirations, or maybe you just want to get stronger, or maybe you just want to like kick butt in class all the time, right? Those are all different types of potential goals that you can aim for. Or is it fat loss? And the reason why I emphasize fat loss, really, most people, we technically have a weight goal, but we really want to get the fat off of our body and look better and feel better. So fat loss really needs to be the goal versus always chasing weight loss. Next one. Thank you. So this is where nutrition, like I said, the person that thought I could out-exercise a bad diet, is truly, truly the foundation of everything. I always try to tell people, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you've been trying the things, you have to really look at nutrition because it really affects everything that most people are aiming for, right? So first of all, what does nutrition impact? Body composition, how we look, whether you are looking more for fat loss, whether you are looking to build muscle or just perform or whatever you're doing, that nutrition will help aid. It is the foundation in you getting to those goals and aspirations. Energy levels. We talk about energy all the time. I know we've got men in here, but I talk to a lot of women, and I'm telling you, energy is up and down all the time. This is really, really important. Of course, recovering hormones, this plays a significant role. A lot of us are actually underfueling, both men and women, and I'll talk a little bit more about how that looks. How your body responds to training. Are your workouts, do you feel good during your workouts? That's an important thing. Whether you are training for something or absolutely nothing, and that's okay too. Those are important things. Sleep, obviously, is also a foundation of recovery along with your nutrition. So how well you sleep, those play really important metrics in all of the things. And like I said, this is why nutrition becomes the foundation. And exercise or movement is the builder. So what this is, obviously, overall strength, cardiovascular health, very important aspect things, muscle tone, and of course, what type of performance that you want to execute, depending on what type of workout. There's 100 different workouts out there, right? And it just depends on what you like. And obviously, all you guys love Orange Theory. So here we are. This is an important piece of the puzzle, regardless of what your goals are. So this is how your body actually burns calories throughout the day. Your BMR is your basal metabolic rate. There's only a small portion of this you can change. So genetics is the biggest component of this, is your age and your height. You can't fix that, right? That plays an important role for your basal metabolic rate. The other part I should say with this is the rate at when you were at complete rest. The best example is when you are basically, if say you get surgery and you can't move, your body does burn calories. You breathe, you eat food, you do things like that. The very basic cells, even like how your cells are absorbing nutrients, all of that goes into your basal metabolic rate. The two things that can shift this basal metabolic rate is muscle mass and weight. Those are the two things. Those are the main things that go into this. And it takes up 70% of how many calories you burn per day. This is why if you see a big person, like a person with lots of muscle, they consume a lot of food. They can eat 3, 4, depending on the person, right? High quantities of food, right? They have a very high basal metabolic rate. This allows for a lot more flexibility in their diets. Whereas when we have less muscle or maybe too much, body fat, depending on our ratio, this can affect things. Now, the other 3 are also very important. These are the factors we can change. This is why these are things that you start to work on, which then therefore can help improve your BMR. So the first one I'll go is the 15% is your NEAT. This is your daily movement. So literally walking, doing chores, obviously walking the dog, going grocery shopping, any of those is NEAT. This is why you hear people talk about steps, right? Steps do play a significant role. Another one I actually pointed out when I did a talk last week was fidgeting. People that are high fidgeters. If you're a fidgeter, congratulations, your NEAT is actually higher because you're just constantly moving. All of those things play a significant role in that as well. And so if you notice, NEAT actually plays a bigger role than exercise. It's called EAT, which is basically a fancy term for how much exercise that you burn. Sadly, exercise is only 5%. This is why you can't out-eat a bad diet, right? And so we only burn. So that's why the caloric burn when it comes to exercise is that part becomes the least important part of the puzzle. It's the quality of exercise that you output that becomes more important versus the amount of calories. And so that's the downfall with exercise. Obviously, we need it, but this is just calorie burn alone. There's obviously physiological benefits that come with exercise that we do need. And then the middle piece, food, is when we eat food, we actually burn calories when we digest. Great thing, right? Because we eat all the time. The foods that burn the most, guess what? Do we have any others? Two food categories. Raise your hand if you know. Which 2 food groups take the longest to digest? Fiber? Protein. Ding. Foods high in fiber, foods high in protein take the longest to digest. The more we consume more of our diets of those, guess what? We actually get to improve our food thermic effect. It's a great little thing. And those are things that keep us fuller longer, et cetera, help aid in weight loss or also performance as well. So we go on that category. So this is really important this is how you understand how the body actually utilizes the energy and the fuel and things that we do throughout the day. So if you're an individual looking for strength and performance, obviously calories become really important. I should say they become really important for all areas, but you need a lot more calories. People that have performance goals have much higher needs. Obviously, they're trying to execute something at a higher level. They probably are training a lot more frequently than the average person, and those things are great. So of course, calories become important. Carbohydrates are another huge fuel source that they need to execute it, depending on what type of performance, right? Is it more strength-based? Is it more cardio-based? I worked with a woman that was a marathon runner, and I am telling you, she came to me under eating severely for the amount of endurance training this woman was doing. And the number one fuel source for endurance athletes is carbs. And when you come in under eating carbs, it also causes a lot of issue onto the body. Of course, we still need protein. Protein still becomes an important aspect of this. And the last piece of this is consistent meals. And you will see this actually across the board as I keep going on for this. Any questions so far? Great. So signs of underfueling. I actually experienced this summer. This happened to me. I wasn't paying attention to my exercise output, to what I was doing. I decided I was going to train for RAGBRAI after I took a 10-year hiatus, decided to come back to it, had a fantastic time. I hit most of these, check. Like I hit all of these. My energy dropped, like when I was still strength training, my workouts really sucked in the gym. I did not feel strong really overall. My recovery took longer. The big one that was a big red flag is my sleep was horrendous. And I did what every female did, is I went and got my hormones tested. Anyway, fast forward, it was my food. I fixed it. Next one. So now next aspect is if you're going to fuel for fat loss. And I like to put this as the done right aspect. As you notice, high protein is the important part of this aspect as well. Because protein, regardless of fat loss or, performance-based, they both provide equal value. Performance-based is more recovery-driven. And when you are going more in a fat loss, it's more of a satiating / will maintain muscle mass. So that's why protein becomes really important. 2 cents on well, I'll get to that in a second, actually. I like to push small calorie deficits. I'm not a coach. I will always ask my clients, if you really actually want to drop 500 calories. In the 3 years of the nutrition coaching, I have not had one client that wants to drop that many calories. Everybody drops around a 200 to 300 calorie deficit. Is a very sustainable deficit. It allows you to eat out. It allows you to have cocktails. It allows you to have donuts for breakfast. It allows those fun foods and drinks that we like, but we're keeping everything else in check, right? We just don't eat. Oh, the best thing I had yesterday, I was talking to some clients. We were talking about Super Bowl Sunday, right? A lot of us had wings, ribs, who knows what we had for Super Bowl. And she said the biggest thing, she's like, my Super Bowl Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday, not Super Bowl week. So she can't, those were the things that you can't stay in check when you go under these small deficits. As well, carbohydrates still play an important role. They are the fuel source, right? Right when you're doing any type of cardio and any of these suckers, you got to have carbs. And consistency over big extreme diets will always help you long term. Biggest fat loss myth, which I do believe this 100%, which I used to think these. Like in my early 20s, I had some time where I realized I wanted to lose weight, or not my 20s. It was like right after I got married. Anyway, I put on the happy marriage weight, blah, blah, blah. I started it. I remember one day I was like, I'm eating low carb. I remember I hopped on the treadmill and I think I had like 2 eggs for breakfast. It was like the most ridiculous thing. I get on the treadmill. I'm like, oh, I think not even 5 minutes. I was about to pass out. I had no carbohydrates in my system to utilize as fuel. Like I was just doing, and I kept going the whole day. I just like, oh, I guess that's just how it is, right? Like you're just supposed to feel like crap. Absolutely not. You actually should still feel good when you're in a calorie deficit, by the way. So eating less does not equal faster results. It's actually worse. Because you're gonna backfire. You're gonna go to extremes, right? Have any of you guys ever done some type of diet where it's been kind of too extreme and then you completely fell off the wagon? Raise your hand. Yes, nod. Something at some point, right? It also, our muscles, we start to lose our muscle mass, right? Muscles require fuel, and we actually need muscles that help improve our BMR, which is our basal metabolic rate, which therefore will help us burn calories in the long run. And like I said, it actually does become easier and easier as you start to learn what food does. So, like I said, regardless, male and females run into this a lot. And I contribute a lot of this to our lifestyles today because we are a very busy, the way that we live today is we're busy. almost from when we wake up to go to bed, whether it's taking care of kids, whether it's working a job, where it's doing both, where it's taking care of family members, taking care of any other, we're always doing something. Plus we have activities, by the way, if you've got kids or if you have activities or if you do things, like we have the ability to make our schedules packed from sunrise to sundown. Well, we actually don't totally love that. So this is what happens. I'm gonna attack next. So what happens is, whether this is intentional, we skip meals all the time. Like I said, whether it's intentional or not, that's okay. It just is what it is. Sometimes we just get so busy that we just don't eat. Has this happened? Maybe, yes. It's okay. Option 2 is or we just try to cut too much, or we're trying to reduce calories, trying to not eat the proper amount, right? That could also be going through our head at times. And so this is what happens. Then we go, I should say, train hard, go to exercise, right? Oh, well, we're moving our body. This is good. We got to move our body. I feel good. I exercise. After exercise, we start tanking. We're starting to get tired. Oh gosh, but we worked out, so I feel good. So some things can happen. Because we worked out, we earned our food. Option 1. Or because we worked out, we're really tired. Now I want to eat everything that's at, whatever, that's in the pantry. Or we're going to run through the drive-thru because I'm starving. I haven't eaten all day. I can eat this. This is okay. Well, what happens is those foods that we end up overeating are usually the highest caloric foods. They're much more palatable. They're much easier to overeat. That's how they're made, right? These are our processed foods. And then guess what? We repeat this cycle. And that we end up actually overeating. If we repeat this enough, what actually therefore causes us to be in a calorie surplus without even knowing it. Because we have the thought that we haven't eaten, I worked out, I deserve this, or I can eat this, I haven't eaten all day. This is a very common cycle that happens and repeatedly. Therefore, then sometimes weight loss comes, or fat loss, then we gain weight without even knowing. So this is the most important part. So if you guys want to take notes, this is a good one. Is the fueling anchors, right? I talked a lot about protein. Protein, yes, is really important for everybody, regardless of what goals that you're aiming for. Ideally, I love to see people get 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight. So basically what you would do is what is ever a comfortable body weight for you, multiply that, let's go with 0.8 on that low end. That would be the aim of protein per day that you would want to get. I kind of gave a general average, 100 to 140 a day for most women, depending on obviously goal, size, etc. And for men, you're looking closer to 130 to 180, depending on size, goals, and etc. and things for that. Carbs, like I said, especially around workouts, this one becomes important because remember, this is your fuel source. Do not eat 2 eggs before you work out. You'll pass out. For women, 150 to 250. Of course, the more active you are, the more carbs you need. Ladies, we definitely need carbohydrates. The nutrition industry did a fantastic job at telling us how crappy these are. But they're great resources. And even your white bread, you can eat your white bread. Men need more as well, just because how they're bigger build. Fats, of course, become important. But here's the part. I didn't put a range for fats because I am telling you, if you focus your meals between protein, quality protein and carbohydrates, the fats just fall into place. Sometimes if we've ever counted calories, sometimes it is so hard to be like, well, I need to get 30 grams of protein on my plate, 20 or 50 grams of carbs and 10 grams of fat. And to put a plate together like that every meal is freaking hard. And so it makes it much more complicated. Most of fats are actually hidden in not hidden. If we're eating enough protein, a lot of proteins have fats in them. Very healthy fats include those, right? And a lot of times, though, it just adds up to the fats. Of course, we can add some other fats as well. Of course, like the things I mentioned between olive oil, avocado, stuff like that. but fats become actually the least important. Now, they do provide a huge function. We need them. Women, especially for hormones, we do need fat as well for health, but it kind of sneakily, it kind of lands into place. It's actually pretty cool. You'll also notice if you ever food tracked, when we go out to eat, most of the foods are higher in fats. This is why the calories are so high. This is why they're so palatable. So we got to kind of watch those when we eat out as well. Last but not least, and well, as I've been saying it the whole time, is don't skip meals. Don't make up for meals. We've got to be consistent. The more that we hold off, the worse it actually gets. I even encourage people, if they say they're going out to, I don't know, a party or something, I don't really want people to save calories. I'm not that type of coach. That day, you're just going to be a little bit calorie surplus, and that's okay. The next day are the days that you can pull back. Because if you hold off and have smaller meals in the front load of your day and save up your calories for night, you're going to overeat. You're going to overdrink because it's all mental. You're hungry, you're tired, whatever it is. I am very anti all that. I always want people to make sure that they fuel appropriately, even if it is a party. So, some great pre-workout options. Typically, I would say within a 30 to 90 minute window. Are you guys all mainly, well, I guess some of you guys came different. I was going to say, if you're morning exercise, are you the morning group or evening group? Mix. We've got a mix. Okay, deal. So, for my early morning people, it's probably really hard to eat first thing in the morning. I typically do encourage people to eat something, a carbohydrate source, like a banana or even a half a banana before you come. That is prime. I would rather you eat that over a protein bar. A banana, you're good, will give you the easiest, fastest energy right away, more so than protein. Protein takes longer to digest, so your body doesn't use it right away first thing. So if you're going to work out within a half hour, regardless if you're a morning exerciser or later, and maybe you need to have a snack or something, rice cakes are also a phenomenal option. Now, I did throw in some other options. These are if you have a bigger window. If you have a 60 to 90 minute window, these are some quick, easy options that you guys can throw in there. But just think, the shorter window, closer to your exercise, you've got to eat a very easy digestible carb. We want to avoid fats and proteins actually right before your workout. Questions on this one? Yeah. That's actually, I forgot about these water proteins. These are new. I would encourage, it's not counterproductive. You're still going to get it because to me, the protein shake, like the window, they say like you're supposed to have your protein about whatever, half hour after your workout or it's not useful. That's actually completely false. You just need to consume your protein at any time. I wouldn't say it's uneventful. If you really want to cut, like I would say for the general person, it's fine. You'll just get a little bit more energy boost if you had carb over the protein. So drink it, but put something carb with it would be my ideal. But she's pointing. A donut? I'm not kidding. You could eat a donut before you came. Your coaches are all going to kill me. They're like, don't promote donuts. I mean, you might not feel great but good luck. Next one. All right, your post-workout fuel. These ones, honestly, the best way to put these are a meal, like a full-on meal, protein, carbs, fats. Any of those are great options. This is a good time to have an actual meal. I know you can't always have a meal depending on the day, where you're at, all the things like that. But the goal is at least try to get an actual meal in. These actually can flip-flop too. Like you technically, like I said, you could have a full-on meal 90 minutes before your workout as well. This is a great window for your body to digest if it's depending on the meal. Depends on the time of day, depends on the person, depends on the hunger cues, depends on so many things, right? That's why you kind of have to play around. But like I said, ideally something small, really, really small. It does not have to, and when I say rice cake, it literally could be a half a rice cake, just something to get into the system to utilize for energy. I'm telling you, I did it. I suggested this to one other woman. She actually comes early mornings, like 6 a.m. out of the early class too. She was doing the protein bar, and I told her to have a piece of fruit instead. And she said it's actually a lot better. She feels like this, you'll have much more energy throughout your whole workout. So overall, I'm going to wrap. I'm almost at the end here. Is food fuels your overall training, right? Regardless of goals, that is the most important part. Training supports strength. Strength supports fat loss, and as always, consistency is the game. Now, I try to tell people consistency is such a hard, it's a vague word because consistency means something different to everybody. And because it depends on what I talk about mental space capabilities that you have is consistency, to also time availability. Somebody that has grown kids out of the house and all that have a lot more mental space. They have a lot more time to commit to themselves. Somebody that has younger kids, and depending, I say if they're like toddlers. I just came from babysitting my brother-in-law's toddlers. Anyway, they're exhausted over there. They've got a toddler and a baby. They don't have much mental space to commit to this stuff, right? So consistency for them will look a lot different than somebody even that has kids that are a little bit older. Everybody has different phases of life. And so to me, consistency means whatever that bare minimum looks like on your bad days helps create consistency, because you're going to have days where you've had really good sleep, regardless of what stage of life, right? Slept well, I've got lots of energy. You're like, I can get my workout in. I'm going to have breakfast today. I packed my lunch. You did all the things. Check, check, check. Got your water in, had a fantastic day. The next day hits. I don't know, maybe something at work happened that was terrible that day. You're stressed, you're pissed off, whatever happens. That day is not a great day. There's not much mental space to allow for yourself. So you drop your expectations the next day to lower things that you can do and that you can execute. And then you keep going. You literally just keep chipping away. And then whatever the next day brings, right? Do you have more space? You're constantly ebbing and flowing. But even I tell people on the worst of your worst days, whatever that is, what is the one thing that you will do for yourself? Most people I encourage is water. The most simplest thing. We always need some type of hydration. Focus on hydration on the worst of the worst days, right? It's can be the easiest. Some people, it is their protein. Some people have figured out how to eat enough protein. They said, I will always eat enough protein, even on the worst of my worst days. Some people's it's movement. Some people, they can move on the worst of the worst days. So pick whatever this is my category. Hydration is one. So just mental note of these. Movement, whether it's exercise or steps, whatever type of movement it is, high protein, and quality sleep. Out of those four, I would pick one and say, what is my on the worst of my worst days, what can I at least do for myself? That's how you create consistency. There it is. Keep it simple. That's always my motto. So what I did for you guys is I created a meal planning guide to help with all this stuff, to give you, there's also a 3-day meal sample. There's a grocery guide that goes into this as well, so you guys can kind of utilize this. It is a general suggestion, right? I did include I think it was a 2,000 or 21 calorie diet potentially looks like, of full breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all those things. So you guys can kind of get an idea of what some of this looks like and how you can start building your meals together. Oh, did you guys all get that? I just all moved on. I know I can. We can go back to it too. If you want to press back. Any questions?
I don't know where you should be for calories per day, especially when you talk being in a deficit.
Yep. Great question. So number one rule is finding out how many calories you should be is there is a calculator online. Oh, you have my phone. I will, if you, I'm trying to, because the link is pretty long. It's actually off a medical website that I utilize because there's different formulas. Is there an email that I can send out with this? I'll send it. Okay. To get your, so it includes your height, weight, age, and activity level. Sweet. Thank you. And with this formula, this gives you a gauge. So the formula will give you your BMR. And then it also, as you scroll down here, it gives your TDEE. TDEE is your total daily energy activity. Because most people aren't, so remember, BMR is to maintain your current stature and weight if you were bedridden. So say, for example, your BMR, I'm just throwing out a random, just because you asked the question. Say yours is, whatever, 1,500, okay? That's a random number, okay? What you would do, then you actually look at your TDEE. The TDEE below, or as you scroll down, will show like how many times a day, like a week that you work out. Because most people are burning more than their BMR. That's my point. Because you are moving, exercising, doing data. No one here is bedridden, thankfully. So what you need to do is make sure that you're below your TDEE, but above your BMR. The reason why you want to be above your BMR is because if you actually go below the BMR, you can actually, this is where it can affect long-term like hormone effects. They can really stall weight loss if we are too low. And so that is kind of how you start it. So figure out what your TDEE is. One other crucial point that I like to throw in with the TDEE is stress levels. I will ask this, and most people don't include this. Your body doesn't know the difference between physical stress and mental stress. So if you're a high stress person, that's okay. I actually work with a lot of type A people. I also work with people with high stressful jobs. Those two things go hand in hand. If you have high stress of whatever that is, so say you work out 2 to 3 times a week, but you have a high stress job or just high stress in general, you need to bump yours up to the 4 to 5 category because the body still needs more energy with more stress. Make sure you remember that aspect when you go in there. That's how you do that. There's a whole other thing, ideally I love to have people, not to go full, totally go off grid on this one, but most people skip finding where they're at first. So a lot of people will go off of, the suggested, the lovely MyFitnessPal. Never, ever, ever, ever go off what MyFitnessPal tells you. I don't know why MyFitnessPal has not put this together yet. They're the most popular food tracking app of all time, and they're just using too much generic input. The information that MyFitnessPal gives you is so far below what people should be eating. They a lot of times get people in very unsafe calorie recommendations. This is why I don't like MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal also includes your exercise input or output. So what MyFitnessPal does is if you exercise, say you burnt 500 calories in class or something like that, they say that you can eat those 500 calories back. That defeats the whole purpose of a calorie deficit. Exercise calories do not allow you to eat more food. That's part of the deficit. So I do have people use MyFitnessPal. I just tell them ignore all the information they tell you. I will do it. So step 1 is you have to figure out where you are at. Like that, this is if I could say of anything, this is key. Because for example, as you happen to ask the question, man, say your BMR is 1,500 calories, say your TDEE is actually 2,200 calories, say you do a food track for a week just to see where you're at. Say you're eating 1,700 calories. This means you're already below your TDEE, but above your BMR. What do we do? Here's the twist. So you have to, when you get too close to your BMR, this is an example, this can actually cause, that question is too complicated. I don't want to confuse you all. Get a starting point first. Don't get too close to the BMR is really the moral of the story. I'll just leave it at that. Because if we get, like I said, if we get too close to BMR, It can cause a lot of hormone disruptions, energy disruptions, sleep disruptions, digestion disruptions. There's a lot of other things that can get disrupted when we eat too inconsistently. That's why I talk a lot about eating consistently. That becomes a really, really important aspect. Find out your baseline, and then you go from there. So you don't go too low too fast, and you don't go too high too fast. Those are really important factors. Some people, have you guys ever heard the term reverse diet? No. Oh. So reverse diet, because I do primarily work with women, I'm actually working with a male right now. He is reverse dieting as well. Is we're actually are increasing calories. A lot of women come to me chronically under eating. What happens is they'll undereat like Monday through Thursday. They overeat Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we come up with averages, and they actually are chronically under eating. They're getting too close to their BMR. Their hormones are messed up. Their sleep's messed up. Their energy is messed up. Those are all signs that the body is getting under-fueled and it's not getting enough consistent fuel. So what I do with those individuals, I reverse diet. I put more food back into their diet slowly. The body has to be prepared to lose weight. It has to feel safe. It has to feel comfortable. If you've been chronically, I'm doing this, chasing fat loss, always trying to cut, it actually is causing long-term issues. Now, males can get out of it a lot faster. They don't have as many hormones. Luckily, you guys, so they can get out of it much faster. But women, it can take some time and can take months to heal the body before the body is actually ready to lose fat the right way long-term. And then, of course, perimenopause and menopause is a whole other round too. Long-winded question. Sorry, that's a big one. What else? Anything else?
Hey, this is something that you and I have talked
Yeah.
about before. Why is it important to eat, like, not right before you go to bed?
Oh, so there's two things with that. Yeah. So some people, how many of you heard the rule, don't eat past 7 p.m.? I think Oprah came up with this rule. I don't remember my mom telling me this. Can't eat after 7 p.m. That rule is actually completely false. Here's why. And they just say there's a little bit of a gray area. Ideally, you're not going to be eating a full-on steak, potato dinner really close to dinner or close to bedtime. Now, of course, we always have those exceptions. That happens, right? But if you were to have a very big dinner before bed, what happens is your body's actually still digesting the food. So you don't sleep well. This happens to me, I'll be honest, when I go out to eat, it always ends up being later. I should join the 5 o'clock crowd. I don't know why I go to dinner later. I eat a big dinner, go to bed, and I toss and turn all night. The body's still digesting, blah, blah, blah. That's the number one. The part two of that is why that's the 7 p.m. rule also doesn't really go into account is sometimes, how many of you have gone to bed hungry? I actually did this last night and I did not follow my rule. I went to bed hungry. I thought it was thirst, and I was like, I didn't want to drink or eat. So I was like, I'll just go to bed. I didn't sleep amazing last night. If you're hungry, you also don't sleep well. Remember, overall calories matter for the entire day. There's no clock. Your body doesn't stop burning calories at 7 p.m. You do have a 24-hour window. And so even if you are in a calorie deficit, or even if you're working on more calories, especially those individuals, have a small snack before you go to bed. I am telling you, you will feel and sleep better. And when I say small snack, this could be literally a couple bites of cottage cheese, a couple bites of yogurt. It does not have to be a full-on meal by any means, but in both directions, it affects us. If we eat too much, it affects our sleep. If we eat too little and go to bed hungry, it affects our sleep. And obviously, sleep is a very big component of recovery, and nutrition helps aid in how we sleep. Great question. In what regards? Like,
What's too little, what's too much, or
Yeah. I do believe this is slightly individualized. Now, just like anything, anything, good or bad, if we have too much of it, it's not good, right? I do believe that. I do believe people have different thresholds when it comes to caffeine. Good, bad, neutral, it depends on the person. If you start having issues with sleep, I would check into caffeine. When is the last time you had a caffeinated beverage? What time, when was that timing and window? Some people it's not caffeine based, right? Some people it's maybe food based. Maybe it just depends on that a really stressful day that affects the sleep. So you have to, there's multiple like facets that can affect this. I have a general rule. I don't do it very often, but my cutoff is noon. I just have mine used to be 3. And then as I got older, I was being really trying to protect my sleep. So I just do noon. Noon is my cutoff. I'll drink as much as I want before noon, and that's the end. Because it does take 8 hours for your body to digest caffeine. So think of it this way. If you have something at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it can go well into disrupting the sleep. Now, like I said, some people, they can do okay with it. Maybe for a period of time, if it's fine, keep going. I would kind of do a trial and error. So there's not like a cutoff. Like I think the general rule, like I think is like 280 milligrams, I think is like a healthy dose. Does that sound right? Or is it less? All right. Wow. That's how long it takes for it to come out of the system, because remember, it is a stimulant and it is a supplement. No, you're right. I'm not gonna lie. I have 3 large cups of coffee before noon. I'm over that quantity. I know I am. And because for me, I just literally enjoy the taste, and regular coffee tastes better than decaf, all the things. So for me, because I know I like it and enjoy it and want to consume it at whatever quantity I want right now, I do. And I've just put noon. I've just made that as my rule. Every once in a while, I'll have one at 2 or 3. I don't know if it totally affects me, but I still just try to stick with that. So there's not I know everything becomes very individualized. So it actually doesn't change that. Your TDEE depends on activity level. That is the biggest driver for TDEE. People that are obviously more active, it can affect that. So typically, menopause is also the talk of the town for most women these days. And most women just still need to be in a calorie deficit as they go through these phases, or even post-menopause. Remember, calories in, calories out still are important, regardless of what phase you are at in life. That is the biggest thing. So we just have to make sure we match the appropriate amount of calories that are coming in. Where women get into some issues is when they aren't metabolically healthy going into those stages. So as they start to hit menopause and perimenopause stages, if they aren't metabolically healthy going into those, then it can make the whole weight gain that happens as our hormones shift. That is what causes a lot of the weight gain. So we just have to be more cautious is the word. It's not impossible. It just makes it a little bit harder, and we have to kind of fine tune as women go through those stages.
What are your thoughts on creatine?
A supplement, yeah. Yeah. So I take creatine, actually. I don't promote it a lot. And I am probably the least supplemental person you'll see out there. I don't promote really any supplement except protein powder, and that's the end. Now, creatine, I will recommend to very certain individuals when I feel like they're ready. So yes, I actually believe creatine is a phenomenal supplement. Is the highest, it is the longest studied supplement on the market, the safest supplement on the market, and the cheapest supplement on the market. It's kind of got like a trifecta, right? And it does a lot of phenomenal things. Here's the key thing why I don't promote it. Most people coming to me have a lot of things, they haven't hit the foundation of nutrition yet. And I feel like when you start to throw supplements, creatine, regardless of how good or not it is, you're going to get very minimal effects out of it. You've got to make sure that the body is in a proper space, meaning it's healed, it feels good, it does all the things it's supposed to do, then supplements come into the picture. So I love it, but I will only promote it to some people. I don't feel like it makes or breaks your progress by any means. Great question.
Intermittent fasting, is that worth it?
Great.
Is that a food or is that just pop?
I do not use it. I don't believe in it. Once again, I think, like I said, our clocks are working in a 24-hour window. Here's the thing. Every style of eating has come out of the medical world. Everything started for some type of, whether it was cancer, whether it's for people with Parkinson's, whether it's for, those are the top two that come off the top of my head. But a lot of these programs were started due to something in the medical world, and they realized people lost weight when they did this. And of course, whoever got a hold of it now took it and marketed it to mass people. So it can work. That's the thing. Everything can work. It's just a matter of, does it work for your lifestyle, right? My general philosophy is, if you like it and it works, do it. I actually never recommend intermittent fasting for women. It actually is not amazing for our bodies. We need a little bit more. Our bodies are much more sensitive. Males can get away with a little bit more just due to the hormone makeup. So I don't recommend it, but doesn't mean it can't be done. There's actually a fitness, she was a big bodybuilder that I really like. And she actually intermittent fast. She's the first one I've seen, is obviously still does it today. She pushes it, and she doesn't push it and promote it, but I didn't know it. But I was like, see, here's a female, especially ones that I don't particularly recommend to do it, but it works for her. And then that's what she talks a lot about. She's like, it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. So I always say, start off with the basics. Just eat appropriate calories throughout the day before trying anything totally, off the grid. Not that that's completely off the grid, but anything too crazy. And then you start to piece together things that work specifically for you. It's all about your lifestyle, what you like to eat, what you can give, what time and space that you have. And those are really big variable factors when picking and choosing what's the best way to eat. That's why it becomes individualized. We all have different lives. Anything else? Great questions. Perfect. The last one, I was just gonna say for you guys, so obviously there's so many different areas that like I said, I can go even deeper into nutrition. But if you guys want to find me, I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook, and there's my website, Simply Strong Coaching, and talk all about all the things. So if you guys want more info, follow along. I give away lots of free stuff. I have lots of guides, by the way. I just like to give away lots of money, so heads up on that. I just like to give back as much as I can, because there's so much crap on the internet that it's confusing. So.
Just a little plug for her.
Oh.
I've seen Casey Hill do one free, and I've taken to heart a lot of what she said. I can tell you my energy is significantly better. I don't need near as much caffeine. The tracking and everything, I was 100% against it. I thought it was just a pain in the ass. And I get excited when I get to see where my protein is, where my fats are. Oh, I met my goal. Casey does a great job of really making it fun and making it work for you. I was an athlete and everything like that. I was 100% the same mindset of, I just have to work out harder and continue to eat like crap. And I don't crave as much sweets actually now. And I've already started to notice, not necessarily a ton of weight loss, but stuff's fitting way better already. You have a big old mom pooch on these pants. She really does a great job. So.
Thanks, Abby. Awesome. And I'll say, I just turned 40 this year, And I also like I feel the best that minus my voice that I honestly really have had. Like this is probably I feel better now than I did when I was in my athlete world. Like I wish I would have known. I wish I would have understood nutrition then, because I definitely did not. So anyway, thank you guys so much. All right, I guess that's it. That's it. All right, thank you. Yeah, this is awesome. I was for my strength because I knew they would be very, very well. Yeah.
No, I would say, yeah.